Hi everyone, before I allow this video to continue, let's play a little game. Can you guess what will happen to my friend here based on the condition of the plug? If you guessed that he would get electrocuted, then congrats, you were right. Now, let's begin with our video. Hi everyone, my name is HIRARC.
And my name is Agathian.
And today we are both going to present HIRARC at the workplace. First, let's discuss what HIRARC is. HIRARC is a compound word which basically stands for Hazard Identification, Risk Assessment and Risk Control. The purpose of conducting HIRARC at the workplace is to identify all the factors that may cause harm to employees and others, to consider what the chances are that the harm actually occurs on anyone, and to enable employers to plan, introduce and monitor preventive measures to ensure that the risks are adequately controlled at all times. Looking back at the video shown previously, the hazard in this situation is known as electrical hazard. This hazard is very common in workplaces such as offices and small or medium-sized industries. As you can see, the worker experienced electric shock due to the lack of maintenance and poor wiring system, which resulted in the harm towards the worker. Cases like this should not be taken lightly because on a different day, this worker may have had more serious injuries depending on the flow of the current.
So, how do we assess the risk of the situation? We can do this by analyzing the risk, or better known as risk assessment. Risk assessment is carried out in order to know how serious the hazard can affect people, property and the environment. The risk can be calculated using the following formula, which is severity of consequence times the likelihood of harm. Based on the likelihood table here, this hazard is most likely to occur at workplaces without even being realized, so a score of 5 is given. On the other hand, the score obtained for the severity is 2, because the severity of the hazard is minor, meaning that the injuries obtained can be disabling, but permanent damages are unlikely to occur. Hence, we multiply these values to obtain a score of 10, which means there is a medium risk. Now, let's move on to the risk control action plan. Based on the hierarchy of hazard control, we plan to substitute the hazard by fixing the broken plug socket with a new one so that the electrical issue can be resolved. Then, the second action plan is using administrative control. We should follow the safe work procedures by always ensuring that the plug is switched off when not in use. Besides, supervision is also very important, so it is necessary for an experienced supervisor to come in and frequently check the wiring system at the workplace. Lastly, personal protective equipment (PPE) should also be instilled in the action plan because it is important and fundamental to protect the workers against the hazard which exists at the workplace.
Last but not least, let's take a look at the standard operating procedures which should be followed when dealing with PPE. Firstly, we should always ensure that we wear gloves when dealing with electrical wires and never use bare hands because gloves are good electrical insulators. Wet hands are also a huge no. Next, we should always wear safety glasses or a face shield when dealing with electrical hazards so that any sparks will not come into contact with our eyes or face, which can lead to serious injuries. Moving on, we should also always wear proper footwear such as boots and avoid slippers because boots are a secondary source of protection from electric current. Lastly, we should always leave any problems in the hands of more responsible and experienced people by reporting any technical problems at the workplace to the authorities. After implementing all the control measures, the new risk assessment is calculated and we obtain a score of 3, meaning that this hazard is now at low risk.
In conclusion, we should identify any hazard that may be present in the workplace and practice appropriate action plans to reduce any risk of accidents. That will be all from us. Thank you.